We will now examine the crude and adjusted logistic regressions in Table 2. Looking at the odds ratios for the crude regressions, we see that under demographics, men were less likely than women to have heard of the HPV vaccine. Individuals who identified as white were 2 times as likely than individuals who identified as not white to have heard of the HPV vaccine. Both of the p-values for these demographic regressions were less than 0.001. Looking at education, we see a trend with some individuals who received some college education, individuals who went to college, and individuals with postgraduate education as being more likely than the last to have heard of the HPV vaccine. For example, individuals who attended some college are 6 times as likely than individuals who received less than 8 years of education to have heard of the HPV vaccine. Individuals with a postgraduate education are 13 times as likely than individuals who receive less than 8 years of education to have heard of the HPV vaccine. All of the p-values for these analyses were less than 0.001. Looking at household income, we see a similar trend, still under the crude regressions. We see individuals who made between $35,000 and $50,000 were 2.2 times as likely as those who made less than $20,000 to have heard of the HPV vaccine. These odds increase for individuals who made $50,000 to $75,000, who are 2.5 times as likely to have heard of the HPV vaccine, and individuals who made more than $75,000 are 4.29 times as likely to have heard of the HPV vaccine. Now, looking at the adjusted odds ratios, we see that for our primary outcome, household income, we achieved p-values of less than 0.05 for all analysis performed. Particularly, looking at household income, we see that the odds of having heard of the HPV vaccine controlling for age, sex, race, education level, and family history of cancer and the interaction of sex and income, these odd ratios increase as household income increases. Particularly looking at individuals who made more than $75,000, they are 3.3 times as likely to have heard of the HPV vaccine, while individuals who made $50,000 to $75,000 are only 2.8 times as likely, and individuals between $35,000 and $50,000 are only 1.9 times as likely, and those who made between $20,000 and $35,000 are only 1.65 times as likely. Also of significance in this table is the interaction between sex and income. We see that a significant interaction occurred between sex and income for those who made between $50,000 and $75,000 and those who made more than $75,000.